Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Pinoy Abroad. So in today's video, I will be sharing you a few tips that I did in order for me to pass the NCLEX the first time as an international graduate. You know, as an international graduate, guys, it might be a little harder for us to pass the boards the first time, only because the way we are taught back home is slightly different than the way nursing students here in the United States are being taught. Just a little bit of a background, guys. I graduated nursing in the Philippines and came here to the United States. Took my boards here after a few years, passed it the first time with the help of some study tools and methods that I created for myself. And I want to share this with you guys so that you can also benefit from it, and hopefully as an international graduate student, or whether you're an international student or not, hopefully this will help you pass the NCLEX the very first time. Reason why you want to take the NCLEX the first time, of course, that's the ultimate goal for all the nursing students out there, is because also to save up money, because NCLEX can be expensive. You know, you don't want to be spending money every time you fail, because you're gonna have to renew and you're gonna have to retake and retake. You know, of course, that's not gonna be the goal here. The goal is to pass it the first time and work as a nurse. And so this video is gonna be really quick and concise, because I don't want to give you a long list of tips to do. That's not going to help either. So there's only 5 tips here that I'm going to be giving you, and I can assure you guys it's very effective. Now, if you're the type of person that you think you're really slow, and you know, I don't want to say slow, but if you think that you are really way behind, it doesn't hurt to go into a class, a refresher course. I didn't have to go through that, guys, but if you think you need it, it's not a bad idea at all. But here's the first one on the list. Create a study guide for yourself. Creating a study guide, guys, will increase the odds of you passing the NCLEX. You know why? Because it builds up your core knowledge. It helps you relearn a lot of things that you might have forgotten in school. Focus on your weaknesses, guys. So if your weakness is med surg, focus on med surg. If it is OB, then focus on that. If it's pharma, focus on it. Or if it's psych, focus on it. But also study on your strengths so that you don't forget them. That really helps, guys. What I did was I was really weak on OB. I read a lot about OB, guys, and because I'm not a fan of OB, to be honest with you. Luckily, when I took my or it's a bummer, when I took my board exam, none of it came out. So I've heard some people took the board exam, they were focusing on other stuff, but when they took it, a lot of things that came out was all about their weakness, like OB and psych and stuff like that. Because when you take the NCLEX, guys, there's an algorithm in NCLEX, and it knows, it's able to detect what you are weak at. So it'll give you a question once, and then once you answer that question correctly, it'll give you a different question. But if you answer that question wrong, then it'll give you another question pertaining, you know, related to that question. And so if you keep answering that question wrong and wrong, it'll keep giving you the same stuff. So it knows that you're weak at that, and then eventually, if you keep answering them wrong several times, or I don't know how many times, then you will fail it. My second tip here, guys, is to set up a study routine. You know, set up a time, set up a date where you can study and focus and only study. I would not necessarily suggest to study the whole day, every day, but I would suggest to, maybe if you're working full-time, maybe cut down, do a sacrifice there. Before I took my boards, I was a full-time clerk. I worked in Chicago, and I had to cut down on my hours. So I was originally working from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I had to cut down 4 hours, so I was only working 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock, and then after that I went straight to the library and brought my tools and brought my books and just read and read and read. I spent about 2 months just reading, just to kind of build the core knowledge again, because it's been a long time since I graduated, and I thought, you know, I'm really missing out on a lot of things. And so built that core knowledge. I spent about 2 hours in the library. I wasn't spending the whole 8 hours or the whole day, because that's going to be too much stress on your brain. I wouldn't suggest that. That wouldn't be very effective. And so just spend maybe a couple hours or maybe 3 hours, and then go home, spend your day with your family or your loved ones, and just, you know, take it easy. My third tip, guys, is to choose an effective study tool. My number one effective study tool is UWorld. You know, I was actually surprised when I took the NCLEX. A lot of it was very identical to UWorld, as if I was just answering questions from UWorld when I was taking the NCLEX. You know, the layout on the computer was identical to UWorld itself, and so I wasn't really surprised when I took the NCLEX, and I felt like I was just answering questions from UWorld there. The second one will be Saunders, the book Saunders. It's a very thick book. I'll put it up here so you can see it. There's the latest edition. I would not necessarily memorize everything, guys. You don't memorize, guys. Just understand the basics, the rationale. Because if you're memorizing, that's just going to put too much stress in your brain. I'm not the type of person that memorizes a lot. When I was in school, I usually just, you know, listen to what the teacher is telling, the clinical instructor is, you know, explaining, and just making sure you understand the rationale. I'm not also the type of person that has the greatest memory, so I would often forget a lot of things. But when I understood what the clinical instructor was trying to explain, I remember that during the test. So that really helped out. Saunders will build your core knowledge. So if you're really weak on med-surg, you'll see a lot of med-surg there. You'll see a lot of psych and OB and all that stuff. And so that helps you out a lot. So what really worked for me, guys, was to just read, building my core knowledge, just going to the library, reading, building up the knowledge. And after that, I was taking the UWorld questions. I was just taking, and I was answering it. And you know, UWorld can tell you whether you have the odds of failing the NCLEX or not. I would say if you are answering correctly 55% or more every time you're taking UWorld, you have a very good chance of passing the NCLEX, because UWorld is very hard. And so it's a really good practice questionnaire for you. The third book that I would suggest is HESI. I'll also put it up here, guys. HESI is like kind of old school, guys. My mom was educated here in the United States. They had this test. It's called HESI, and she said it was like 3 times harder than NCLEX. When my mom graduated, she didn't have to go through a review school or a review class or something. She just immediately took the NCLEX and passed it the first time. So as an international graduate, guys, it's also possible for us to be able to pass it, and this is my goal, to share it with you so you can also pass it the first time. With HESI, it's a thin book, but it's packed of information. It's very concise, brief. So I would highly suggest to grab that book if you don't already have it. And fourth one is to understand and do not memorize. That is the trick, guys. You cannot memorize everything in nursing, and so just understand. It's mostly prioritizing. So the questions are usually asking you, what is your priority? A lot of the options are correct, so you just have to pick the best one and the most correct one, or the priority. And so focus on that, focus on the rational instead of memorizing. There's very little things that you have to memorize in nursing, and that's just maybe the labs, the lab values. Just gives you like a baseline, what to look for, what to observe, and it's like out of range, you know, vitals, and there's a lot of different stuff too, but they're less. NCLEX is more of like critical thinking, so build this. The number 5 and the last one, guys, is do not stress out. This is very important, especially the day before you're taking the NCLEX. Make sure you got enough rest, you get enough sleep. Every day also, while you're studying, make sure you're getting enough rest and sleep, because if you're not getting that, if you're still stressed out, then everything you've just learned will just go away. It will not be retained. So I would highly suggest to get enough rest, exercise if you want, and just take it easy. Give yourself enough time to study and to practice the questions, guys. I would say what I did was I spent about 3 to 4 months, guys. At the end of the 4th month, I took the NCLEX, passed it the first time. even though it's been years after I graduated, I still passed it the first time. A lot of international graduates, guys, that I know, especially from my home country, they've taken the boards the 3 times in order to pass it. Some of them taken even more than that. So my goal for you is to pass it the first time. So if you like this video, guys, give it a thumbs up, share it with people who you think will benefit from it. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. And I hope this video has helped you out. And if you do have any questions, leave me down in the comment section. If you don't agree to this, also leave me down in the comments. Let's talk about it down in the comment section. And I think that's about it, guys. That's all. I'll see you on my next videos. Peace.